My goodness. Hello and welcome. It is day 62. I'm Brendan Mitchell. I make a video every day. Some of them are about losing weight. I'm realizing this is actually like a legit opening now. If you're new, I say this almost every video. It's going to be a simple and a quick one today. Not every one of them can be well thought out or planned, and none of them are. But today, more so than usual, I had a long day, a good day, a nice family day. It's a Saturday. I watched a couple bad movies, which I usually don't do. Usually, I don't like ironically watching things. I try to actually steer from irony in general. I find it to be a sort of it's like a get out of jail free card irony. I dislike its evasive nature. So watching things that I know are bad actually generally just makes me furious that someone was allowed to do something that isn't good. A little harsh, but anyway, I update on my back. My back is injured for certain. I can put on my pants, but I'm not going to be doing any burpees anytime soon. We'll be lifting on Monday. We'll be going through something more of a sort of medicinal lifting routine. Hopefully the injury kind of goes away on its own. It's not too bad, but certainly something that I know I can make it worse pretty quickly if I play my cards poorly. So we're just going to play it by ear in that sense. It shouldn't affect my weight loss much. I'm sure that the eating maintenance for the past couple days and this weekend will affect my weight loss. I would imagine on Monday I'll weigh in a little heavier than usual. But I feel great. Feel decent energy. I feel okay despite injuring myself. I'm not nearly as upset as I would usually be. When you hurt your back, I'm sure anyone with back pain knows it's intensely debilitating and psychologically crushing to have back injuries. I think everyone goes through them, and I think that they are avoidable, and I think that they are repairable, and I think that you can be okay, but there is something just intensely agitating about having a back injury because it just sort of makes you shit at everything. Other than that, I don't have much today, We're eating in the other room that way. There's people in my life. There are people that are allowed around me or allow themselves to be around me. I think that's nice. And other than that, there's not a lot going on. It's a weekend. My advice for you, I don't even know. I think that you should empty your bank accounts. I think you should empty your bank accounts and you should spend your money on something that can be delivered within 24 hours because you don't want to wait long because you're going to cancel the order. And I think it should be maybe a raft. If they sell speedboats on Amazon, something like that, what will Affirm loans pay for that you can't pay but you can accept now? Affirm the other day offered to pay a partial on protein powder I ordered. So that's how rough it is out there in the world. And I get it. Affirm offered to finance a $65 jug of protein powder. I don't know how I got into this now. I'm realizing I'm rambling, but I'm also thinking I don't think we're in a good spot if we're taking out short-term loans for protein powder. I think that's probably not a good sign. That's probably not a good sign. I don't know how we got here. I don't know. I wrote a lot this morning. I read a decent amount. I'm kind of flustered. I'm in my own head today. I didn't know what I was going to say when I looked at the camera. I'm deep into Magic Mountain. I am also in the middle of kind of the depths of rereading Crime and Punishment, which I kind of pop in and out of every once in a while when I want to give myself a sort of when I'm not agitated, anxious, neurotic, and frustrating enough to be around. I'll dive deep into a little Dostoevsky and sort of just become even worse and more irritating and more neurotic of a person. But I'm writing something that is about it's about someone who's very isolated in like a vacation spot in Japan, and he runs afoul a kind of cult in the woods in Japan at like an onsen, a big spring. And they turn out to be a cult that are quite famous. They have like a big influencer presence, and it's just this guy that kind of bumps into them, and it's a very fascinating kind of a fish out of water, accidentally falls into a cult situation. Very fun. So that's why I'm reading things like Magic Mountain, and I'm reading things like The Magus, things about cults and people that are very isolated, and it's kind of funny, but it's very serious, and but the concept I really enjoy. I'll probably end up speaking more about stuff like this just because the more of these videos I do, the more I realize that I don't want to do them unless I talk about something I actually like. And what is on my mind throughout most of the day on days like today is what I'm writing. From a literary standpoint, a part of me would like to release it early and do it in chapters and pages, kind of like the way, for instance, if you've ever read something like or heard of something like The Three Musketeers by Alexandre Dumas, those types of novels from the 19th century were written for newspapers. So they were written in chunks and read kind of like the way you would read manga being released now. So that's why they're actually often quite long and bloated, and they're full of cliffhangers because they were written to that extent. Part of me would like to do that with this, if not only to force me to publish things in chunk independently of an actual publisher and deal with the repercussions of publishing something in chunks, and then trying to make it work over time, as opposed to obsessing over a novel for months and months and months and then potentially deleting it, which I have done multiple times. Maybe just kind of bear it out. Like a series of short stories in my head, though the direction would be that it's a novel over time. I'm beginning to enjoy it a lot, which is why I want to talk about it. But you never should talk about these things. I'll just continue reading The Magic Mountain and The Magus and kind of freaking myself out. And maybe start publishing it episodically like that. But I would have to change the way it's being written as well to adjust the pacing. The form would have to shift, and the form shifts, the shape shifts, the shape is different. That means the map, the territory, the entire story has to change. But it's something I've been thinking about lately. I think it would be fun to do. But that's what's on my mind today on a Saturday. It's not calories, it's not losing weight, it's not anything but enjoying the weekend. I think you should do the same. As I said before, take a loan out on a speedboat. Even if you live in a landlocked area, let's say you live in, Wyoming or something. God, I hope that's a landlocked state, because I'm going to look like a fucking idiot. But if you live in Wyoming, still get a speedboat. People will be freaked out. They go, why'd you get that? And you go, what do you mean? You know what this is for. Stuff like that. I think I'm a big fan of making your life worse than it already is by making extremely rash financial decisions that inevitably cripple your ability to progress as a human being. I'm a big fan of that because it's what I've done. And the more people in my position, the better off, okay? That's it. What is this, 6 minutes, 7 minutes? Should I post this video, a 7-minute video? Should I make it go to 10 minutes? Look, here's the deal. Let me stand up real quick. Here's the deal. As I've gotten older, I'm beginning to get more pimples. When I was a kid, I never got pimples. Now, this isn't related, but if you see, I have these bullet wounds I get in my nose and my forehead now, and I can't help but pick them. I can't help it. Drives my wife nuts, obviously, because she's Asian and she's got cosmetics and she's always taking care of her skin. She looks like she's 15 years old. I look like, I sleep under a car by choice. But I digress. It's been going well. Creatively, we're jumping all over the place. Creatively, this week has been a little strange. Videos are getting harder and harder and harder, and I keep talking about it, so I'm going to stop. I'm going to have to find a way to articulate these ideas without feeling like they're rushed and without getting to a point where I just don't care at all, because then I just won't do them. So that is kind of where I'm at with videos. 62 videos in a row. I feel all right. I'm happy about this. I'm happy about what I'm doing. A lot to do in my life and a lot to take care of, and I have many, many, many things that I have to get done, and I have no time, and I have no idea whether any of them are going to work or pan out for me. But I don't know what else to do. So, that's also my advice, Ideally, the thing that you do, or you find a way to direct yourself in a direction where you get stuck trying to do at least one thing that you kind of hope works. And then everything else is like, well, just try it. I guess you just got to try and pay the bills, right? That's it. That's all it ever is, Have some good food, see a sunset every once in a while, Go for a long drive. I don't know. Sometimes music is good. Sometimes it sucks. All right, I should stop talking. What am I going to call this? What should I call this video? Like, comment, and subscribe. If this is your first video, there's no shot you made it this long, right? You're like, why am I watching this, listening to this guy talk? Like, comment, and subscribe, especially to videos like this, because they don't make any sense, and I get very insecure about them. And then also, remember that you are, you're all right. You're probably not that great, but you could be great. But it's pretty unlikely that you are great. But I believe you could get there. Thanks again. Thanks for watching. I'm sure I uplifted you this weekend. I will see you tomorrow for maybe a video with a few more thoughts behind it. You never know. I don't know myself. Goodbye.